We need to sing.
Hello, Central Texas and the world. This is Patrick Purefoy, your host of Let's Talk Real Estate. Thank you for joining us today. I am again your host, Patrick Purefoy, broker and owner of Blessed Properties right here in Killeen, Texas. Let's Talk Real Estate is dedicated entirely to enlightening you, the real estate consumer, on real estate related matters and much more. Today I have in the studio with me, of course, my co-host, Mr. Ken Biggers.
All right.
Ken, how you doing, sir?
You know, I'm doing wonderful. I have a full belly, and so I'm filled with smiles. So I'm doing great.
Yeah. And very special guest today, Mr. Jose Segarra. He is running for mayor in our great city right here in Killeen, Texas. Jose, how you doing, sir?
All right, fantastic. I appreciate you guys inviting me out and sharing some of the information that I'm going to talk to you guys about.
Absolutely. You know, we ran into each other a few months back at the Christmas parade, and we talked about this a little bit, and I definitely wanted to help. You know, you're a veteran as I am, you're a real estate practitioner as I am, so we have a lot of things in common, and I really wanted to do my part in assisting you in becoming our next mayor of our great city.
Fantastic, I appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I definitely wanted to use this platform that I have to share you and your ideas for our city and on becoming mayor with our listening audience. So again, welcome, and thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to
Really
join
do
us.
appreciate that.
No, I think this is awesome. And I think that what I do today, and I tell a lot of people, a lot of my agents that I coach and train, that you can use anything, but real estate is an awesome platform to take you anywhere that you want to be if you really focus on it. So
Right, absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. So I could tell the people about you, and I'm sure I would miss a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But I want you to tell the people a little bit about yourself. I mean, we know you're a veteran. We know you are a local business owner, real estate practitioner as well. You served on the city council. And in the real estate world, you've been past president of our local association here, Region 8, TAR Region 8 president, I believe. Yeah. So what did I miss? I know I missed a couple of things there.
Oh, well, there's quite a bit there.
Yeah, I know.
What I look at it, life is a journey,
Yeah.
and I'm still on that journey, and you got to make the best of that journey.
Yeah.
And I got here, like you say, through the military. After 10 years in the Army, I decided to get out, and Port Hood was my last duty station here. And right after the Gulf War, came back, and they started doing cutbacks, and I was halfway through my, what would have been 20 years, because a lot of people stay in 20 years,
Right.
but that was a tough decision. And when I made that decision to get out after 10 years in the military, I never wanted to have any regrets. I didn't
Right.
want to look back and say what would have been my 20th year and say, you know what, I should have stayed in.
Right.
And that's kind of what pushed me, throughout, what I do today.
Yeah.
And when I got out, I we go through all these different challenges, and a lot of people that I meet today and throughout my journey, I always, see people going through all kinds of different challenges. And, it's good to share what I've been through and some of the people that have inspired me to, share that with them, because they also get inspired. And they say, you know what, if somebody like me, can do it,
Yeah.
then they can definitely do it. Because, it's taken me a great, like I said, it's a great journey that I've been through. Thinking that when I got out, I was going to make a lot of money, and the only thing that you can find around here that I could find out was like $6 an hour job.
Yeah.
And so I had to dig deep and kind of educate myself. I don't have, I always tell people I don't have a formal education, but I have, what do they call it? Hard knocks.
Street of the hard knocks.
From School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And so I learned through School of Hard Knocks that you got to get out and you got to work hard and you got to educate yourself. I started reading a lot, doing a lot of coaching, and and going to a lot of seminars, and I developed. A lot of people that see me what I do today don't realize. My first year in real estate, I sold one house, and my second year I doubled it, and I ended up selling two houses. And the average person that spends 2 years in real estate and sells three houses, they're finding another career fast.
Yeah.
And I was a knucklehead, and I decided to stay in. And my fifth year in real estate, I was doing really well. I went
Awesome.
from 10 to 15 houses a month, but it takes a lot of persistence.
Right.
Yeah.
And it takes, you wanting to do something, if you fall down, brush yourself up and get back up and do it again. Don't give up.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's our fear. We fear rejection, we fear failure.
Mhm.
Right.
But to make a long story short, and I went through my journey. I got an office now, and I'm doing what I do now. I as you said, I participate in a lot of things. I was president of the board. Right now I serve on the Killeen Free Clinic. That's an awesome organization. I also serve on the board of directors for the Texas Workforce Commission. That is also, always looking to help people to find jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And several others. I'm also on the Mounted Warfare. We're trying to build that big museum, that
Right.
$25 million museum right outside the
Oh,
gate.
that's awesome.
Right.
And that is going to be a huge project for us. And a lot of people always ask, how come it's taking you so long? But they don't realize that, Texas A&M, a fantastic university here. We're all proud of it. But that was a long project.
That was in the works for years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Years, exactly.
Mhm.
That started like before they even broke ground. That's
Right.
like 20 years before that
Yeah.
really got taken
Right.
off.
Yeah.
So it does. It takes time. They're working hard. So you got to understand that persistent is what is going to get you to where you want to be. But I enjoy it, and right now, I served as the mayor pro tem for the city of Killeen, and I love that because you're always out there engaging with the community. And from what I brought from real estate, because as we that are in real estate, we get personal with people. I mean,
Right.
we go in their houses.
Yeah.
We know how much money they make,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Bathrooms look.
Yeah.
And we honor that. And as a politician, I love it because when somebody has issues or something, I don't mind engaging with them. I don't mind educating. I think it's just a lot of times people may not have the necessary information to make a good decision, or they don't really know what's going on. And by one of my goals, if I become mayor, is just to try to figure out better avenues of communication out there. I do have a Facebook page, and people go on it all the time, send me questions. And amazingly, when I started this mayor campaign, I had about 300 friends.
Right.
Right now, I checked yesterday, I got 3,500 friends.
Wow. Wow.
Talk about communication.
Communication. You're slightly important.
But I don't mind.
That's really
I don't
good.
mind. I try to keep it positive. I don't
Right.
mind engaging, but if you start going off the deep end, the good thing about Facebook is cut them off.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, I don't know, that doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
or get real dirty. We don't. But I'm always there.
So, Jose, like you just said, you've been in politics for a little while now, and serving the community. Your time as a councilman, what would you say was one of the biggest successes or accomplishments during your time as a councilman?
Well, we had several. I think that as a councilman and as a business owner, I'm always looking to bring in things that'll have an impact. I know that we just approved La Cascada just before I got out, and that's going to be a huge shopping center here in our market, in our area. And Rosewood Extension, that was a huge project. One of the very first things that I was able to do and vote on when I got on the council over 5 years ago was the highway here, 190, and we expanded that. And luckily, that's going to come to a conclusion here at the end of this year, hopefully.
That's good.
But that is one of many different things, and it's always trying to stay ahead of the growth. One of the biggest challenges that I think we have as a city is keeping up with that growth.
Right.
When you have growth, you have concerns as to public safety. That's a big issue.
Right.
And and the streets and transportation. You know, the streets have to be maintained.
Right.
We always have to figure out ways to decrease some of the congestion, especially in some of our major intersections there. So those are things that the new council is going to have to look at and figure out ways to keep costs. Because one of the things that I'm proud to say on the council is that we never had to raise any taxes or anything like that. And the reason is because of the growth. You know, a lot of times people don't understand growth, and they say, if you're not growing, guess what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Your taxes going to grow. You're going to pay more.
Right.
So we'd rather have growth than have to increase. And one of the big attractors of our area is our cost of living. And we know that we have one of the most affordable cost of livings in the nation. And a lot of times we get that question is, where are these people coming from? Because, you know, this military is doing cutbacks, and yet we're growing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the reason is because a lot of times families, you know, they bring in other families, you know, and it's like, wow, I have somebody here that told me that this is a great area to live in, and it doesn't cost that much, especially in housing.
Like me. I have I've been here 16 years now, almost 17 years now.
Yeah.
And I have a brother that's moved here, and I have a sister that's moved here.
There you go.
And praying for, Mom, you watching?
Yeah.
I'm praying for my mother to move here in the next couple of years. Yeah. Praying for Mom to move here in the next couple of years. So you're absolutely right. Yeah.
No, and that's true. I mean, you see it, especially in my culture. You know, I was born in Puerto Rico. I was raised in Chicago, but I was born in Puerto Rico, Puerto Ricanos.
Right.
And I see a lot of the Puerto Rican community growing, and a lot of them is like that. It's because they see other areas that are not doing so well, and they come in here and they say, wow, you know, this is a great place to bring and raise your family here. It doesn't cost that much. But it's tremendous. You know, the growth continues. It hasn't affected us, you know, trip cuts backs or anything like that.
Right.
Even though, you know, people say, oh, they're going to be cutting, and I say, well, they've cut them. You just didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Right.
And we continue to grow.
Right. We have a question?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so Jose, we are live
Okay,
streaming, as you know,
fantastic.
and we got some questions coming in over live stream. What's the question, D?
Are there any plans to bring family entertainment, like, for example, mini golf, go-karts, or something like putt-putt?
Yeah, definitely. That's always one of our goals, is to bring in more entertainment for the family and kids. You know, kids need things like that. And what we do as a council is, and me as mayor, what we want to do is we want to try to eliminate any of the obstacles that somebody that builds something like that would have. And so when you build like a putt-putt or anything, those are private enterprises.
Right.
So the city doesn't build that. But the city, where they help, is they make it like if somebody wants to start a business and we put, well, if you're going to start a business, you have to conform to this regulation and file this paperwork and do that. That's frustrating.
Right.
And so what we want to do when we pass ordinances and stuff is make it easy for somebody to be able to do that. And we do that downtown. We have a lot of different incentives in downtown. You know, there's what we call facade grants. You buy a building downtown, they'll give you up to $10,000
Right.
to fix the front. There's where you can just defer some of the taxes that you pay over maybe a 5-year, so you don't have to pay anything like that. If you buy a building, let's say the building is worth $50,000 and you put a business there, and the business is now worth $300,000. Well, for the 5 years you only pay that lower amount. You're not taxed at that. So we as a council can do things like that to try to attract business. But I think that the role of a mayor is so important, because the role of a mayor is to be the salesman of the city. You have to be out there talking all the good stuff, so that when somebody like that wants to start a putt-putt or a Dave & Buster's or whatever it is, they say, wow, you guys have a great town. We hear all this great thing about you. You guys have a great job force. You guys have great families.
Right.
They come in.
Right.
And so that is my job. But when you start hearing all the negative, even though it's not true, and you don't counter that, then it can create that psychological effect that, well, there's too much crime or there's too much this, when there actually is not.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's true. Now, Jose, that was the question that I had for you. So somebody just stole my question.
Oh, okay. That's easy then.
So, you know, Jose, as a real estate agent, a broker, you know, we're out showing houses to buyers, and one of the things there are three primary things that come up in conversation a lot. And you know, Fort Hood is our largest employer in the area right now. And some of the questions are, well, the number one question is, what about a job for my spouse? Because we have a lot of service-related jobs in our area. Are there any plans that you can share that may even just be in discussion right now about bringing in industry into the area?
That's something that we always look at. The thing about it is that industry, if you're talking like a specific industry, it is a challenge because a lot of those industries are going overseas.
Yeah.
And so and they hardly move. And I'm from the belief that industries go from within. If we get somebody that gets out and starts a business and they stay here, if you look at all these industries, look at Apple, look at Dell, they used to live there. Dell,
Right.
Steve Jobs was from the Cupertino area, and that's where Apple is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have grown in our industries. Our biggest industry, you know, besides Fort Hood, healthcare has grown here tremendously.
Yes,
Our
yes.
education system, and not only at the elementary level with our Killeen Independent School District, but as you know, with the university. And I think that we have so many great things. I think I'm so optimistic of what the university is going to do here. That is huge for our area because you're going to get higher income level people come, you know, professors and stuff.
Right.
Plus you get students, and a lot of those students, if you look at Dell Computer, he went to UT, he graduated, and guess what he did? He started Dell right there in the Austin area.
Right.
And I think that we're going to get some of that. You're going to get that trickle effect as people graduate and say, you know what, I've lived here, I'm going to try to start a business or something, and hopefully we'll grow it. But healthcare, education, construction, those are three huge industries in our area that we do, that are growing, that have grown.
Right.
So
we have another question from live stream.
What is his goal that he wants to accomplish as mayor?
I think the number one goal is that we just need to create a better image, you know. And I think that, like I say, I think we have a great image, but the challenge is that a lot of people don't do that. I talk to a lot of people and they say, oh, well, there's crime rate is too high. Then I say, did you know that our crime rate is actually not high? You know, well, there's a lot of murders, and we don't ever want anybody to get killed, obviously.
Right.
But I think that if you look at the statistics, 77% of the murders are domestic violence. So that is where the issue is, that we just need, and we have a lot of great nonprofit organizations that are here to help people that, you know, we're right outside a gate, and sometimes, you know, you're going through that transition that you just came back from combat or something.
Right.
And that's what it is. I mean, you get rid of the domestic violence, and where is our murder rate, you know?
It's gone, it's wiped out,
yeah,
basically.
It's pretty much, yeah. But that is it. I mean, my goal is just to help with public safety, and then also the image, you know, cleaning up the city, making it look more aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
And that is another area that I think if you do that, it'll take us a long way. One of the things that I love personally is I love to run. I'm a runner. And last year I ran 3 marathons, full marathons. So you always see me running around the town. You know, people know me. This morning I was out running and somebody waves to me, hey, aren't you running for mayor? And I say, yeah. so you know, I'm getting around, and I always get it. And if you've never been to the new road they're building, Stagecoach, that is an awesome road, because everywhere you run now, everywhere they put new roads in, guess what they're putting sidewalks in.
Yeah.
Right.
And so on Stagecoach, they've got these beautiful sidewalks. And so my favorite run in the city, for those of you that are runners, is you start at Purser Park right there on the edge of Killeen.
Right.
And you go down Stagecoach right on the sidewalk, and then you're going to go past Y'all Ranch. You're going to see cows. You're going to see beautiful vegetation and green. You can run all the way to Texas A&M University. That is a gorgeous run. That's about 6 miles right there.
Did you say run or drive?
Run. You gotta run. That's it.
Okay.
But I think that's it. If you get people to get out more and connect, that's one way. I mean, just get them to engage more. And another, I think, one of the things, I forgot to mention this because you guys said one of the good accomplishments that we did. But if you guys ever had a chance to ride by that dog park,
Yes.
that place always full, just like Lions Park.
is.
So people do like to get out. They just need more activities. I tell people, I don't have a pet, because I'm never home. I'm smart enough to say, hey, I can't take care.
Yeah.
But I love them. I love that dog park because when people get out and they're out there with their pets, guess what also they're doing? They're getting to know
Other
their
people.
neighbors.
Yes.
They're getting to, and when you get to know their neighbors, guess what that also does? It lowers, crime rate. It
Right.
does it has so much tremendous effect. So you help, with the parks, make sure that we got beautiful parks and things like
Yeah.
that. That's going to take us a long way. So.
Well,
Absolutely.
that was part. That was the second part. So we already talked about. You just covered the parks and recreation. That was the number 2 question that buyers always have for me. What is it to do here for our families? Where can I take my family to out to enjoy?
Right.
On a budget. And of course, that's always going to be the parks.
Yeah.
So we have something in place already, and we're still working on more. And I don't know if anybody picked up on it. A few minutes ago we were talking about what's going on downtown, or what's available to business owners downtown with the revitalization that's going on or afforded to you if you open a business downtown or buy a building. So all these things as community, we all have to play our part in the community, and the city council and the mayor's office are making these things easier for us to make our city better. And I believe Jose is going to push that over the top once he is elected. I'm going to speak
go
that
ahead.
into existence.
Speak
He
it.
is
There you go.
elected, as the mayor of our great city on May 7th. Isn't that correct? May 7th?
May 7th.
May 7th. Yeah.
No, but you're right. You hit it right on the head because even though, I can sit there, the mayor, but the mayor
Yeah.
can't do it alone.
Right.
Right.
And so my thing is just to get more people out there and speak. One of the things that I have on my mind of doing, one of the first things is, like I said earlier, mayor's job is to sell the city.
Mhm.
But, I can't do that alone. So one of the great programs that the city started last year, it's what they call the Killeen Leadership Academy.
Mhm.
And citizens can go through this academy and they learn the in and outs of the city. And what I want to do is kind of a follow-up on that, because a lot of times, you graduate, you know what's going on in the city, but where do you go from there?
Right.
So what I want to do is that I have on my mind of doing is create some kind of ambassadors.
Mhm.
And so those people that have gone through this academy and learned so much, put them out there and start, there's so many great organizations, there's so many churches out here, and do presentations and speak of what is really going on in the city so they can see firsthand from somebody there
Right.
that is kind of an ambassador to,
Right.
this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so
that's good.
I'm kind of creating my own little sales force there as mayor.
Good.
Yes, you did.
Just like what I do in real estate. So,
Yeah.
but I think people enjoy it, and there's so many people out there. This is an amazing town. There's so many people out there that want to get involved and want to get engaged, and they just need to be given an easy path to do that. And I think things like that will definitely help.
So how does one join that program?
They put it out. I know like the chamber has one. The Killeen Chamber has a leadership
Okay.
academy, and now the city, and they'll put it out. Now last year was one of the first ones that they did.
Okay.
So as we, if I can become mayor, I'm going to try to do at least a couple a year.
Okay.
Okay.
But they're similar to some of the other organizations or programs that the city does. Like when they do the Citizens Police Academy,
Mhm.
another fantastic group that people can get involved in. There you're training with the police department,
Right.
and you're learning about public safety, crime rates. You're taking tours. I think when I went through many years ago, they even let me shoot a gun. So, but I don't know. But those are great programs that are available to it. It's just taking it to the next level. Okay, I went through that program. What can I do now to contribute?
Right.
And just make them kind of ambassadors and spokesmen
Right.
of the city.
No, I think that's a great program, and I think as the word starts to spread about that,
Yeah.
those seats will fill up quickly, because we do need ambassadors to sell our city to
Yes.
those that are thinking about coming in, and let them know what we have to offer here in Killeen.
It is. It's such a proud community. I think that this is one of the most, the chamber has a name for it, and it's where freedom grows. And it's true, because so many people here have served in our armed forces, and we have such a large retirement community here
Mhm.
from the military. And I think that a lot of them have experience. I mean,
Mhm.
they're still young. A lot of people retire at under 40.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you want to do something where you can truly make a difference.
Right.
And just help grow your community by getting out there and speaking and helping and engaging, whatever it takes to turn this around. And doing things like that will have a tremendous impact on our community. You're going to see people are going to want to come here just to live. You know, so
That's awesome. So I just have a question for you. Now, we've talked about what your plans would be once you are elected. We're going to continue to speak that.
Okay.
So tell me, what is it that motivated you to get into politics?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's motivation. I think that being a business owner, I've always engaged with the community. So a lot of people say, oh, you're going to work hard as a mayor. I say, actually, I stepped down away from it. Because as Patrick was mentioning, I was with the regional vice president. I did that for 6 years. And I stopped in December. I was no longer regional vice president. So you know, and that was, again, before I was on city council. But it's just that. I think that just being involved in the community, and one step at a time. I never had plans of doing anything. It's just that you do something and you take it to the next level. Because my natural, people know this that know me, they say my natural personality, I'm really an introvert. I'm not a talker. I would have never seen myself as a politician.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've taken little baby steps, and
Yeah.
every time you take one step forward, you build a little bit more confidence.
Right.
And you do something else. And so that's how I do it. It's just one step at a time. And as long as I'm doing something moving forward, I feel like I'm retired. People say, oh, you're going to retire. I say, I retired like 20 years ago. Because at the end of the day, when I go home, I do not feel tired. It doesn't feel like work. Sometimes I go home and I say, I need to go back to the office. What am I going to do at home? Just watch TV. So it's like I'm retired. You know, I'm always out there with people. I love to go to events. I go to a lot of fundraisers, a lot of banquets. I think I got 2 this Saturday at the same time. So I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I'm going to try to figure out a way. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. We thank you.
Well, Jose, I appreciate you coming and sharing a little time with us, talking about what your plans are as mayor for our great city. We have just a few more minutes here, about 2 or 3 minutes here. Real quick, what is your perspective on our real estate market here?
Real estate is doing good. You know, I get that question a lot, and it's just all you got to do is just look at our numbers. And when I did our numbers for this month, you know, a lot of times, you know, people don't really understand. They say, well, you know, home prices are not going up. I'm losing money, and all that may be true, but home prices, when I pulled it up last week, are up 9%. That's a huge increase.
Right.
But yet people say, if their home prices are up, how come I'm negative? And the challenge is that when it comes to selling their house, they have to have enough equity. And a lot of times if you ever buy a house, my recommendation to you, if you're not going to live here 5 years or something like that, and you still want to buy a house, because a lot of times people buy homes because they're cheaper than rent.
Right.
You do what I did, and this is what I did. I did a 15-year mortgage, and you know, right now I bought a house for 135, and this is 8 years ago. I owe what, 7 more years?
Mm-hmm.
I owe like $60,000 on it, and the payment went up. You know, the payment went up like $100 or something like that. It didn't go up, but I always recommend that. I say, you know what? So you're not upset, because a lot of times, you know, because of our military, they don't put no down payment. They roll over their funding fee. They have the seller pay all their closing costs. So there's no expectation that you're going to make any money when you put all that money in the house. But if you do like a 15-year mortgage, then you're putting money in a savings account, and if the market goes bad, you're still okay.
Right.
So that is my recommendation to everybody, because you know, you can't predict what by the demand, and demand is still strong out. We're stronger than we were last year.
Looks great.
Well, there you have it, everybody. Mr. Jose Segarra, and we ask you to give him your support on May 7th when it's time to come out and vote. Get out and vote. Get out and vote. Get out and vote.
And early voting starts the 25th of this month.
25th of this month.
Here
There you go. Jose, once again, I thank you for joining us and sharing your insight and input and outlook for our great city. We thank your lovely wife, Laura, who didn't want to come on air. She's sitting out there playing shy, but we know better than that, Laura. I know, I know, right.
All right, thank you, guys.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you. God bless. And we appreciate everybody spending this 30 minutes with us this Tuesday, and we'll see you guys next week.